Hello and welcome. If you're a caregiver, there are some challenges that can just leave you feeling worried and, well, a little lost. And one of the biggest has to be watching a loved one's appetite just fade away. So today, we're going to get to the heart of why this happens, and even more importantly, what we can actually do to help. I want you to picture this. You've spent time making a meal you know they love, something special. You serve it up, you're hoping for the best, and then you just watch as they take a few small bites, or maybe they don't even touch it at all. That feeling, that mix of frustration and real concern and helplessness, it's so common. You are definitely not alone in this. And you know what? Those feelings are completely valid. But here's the thing we really have to understand right from the get-go. This is almost never about one single thing. It's more like a puzzle with physical pieces, medical pieces, and emotional pieces. And our job, together, is to start seeing how all of those pieces fit. Okay, let's dive in. So first things first, let's be really clear. This is not just a case of someone suddenly becoming a picky eater. No, there is real science behind why our appetites change as we get older. It's all driven by very real, measurable physiological changes that are happening inside the body. Now, the clinical term for this is anorexia of aging. I know, that sounds pretty alarming, right? But it's so important to separate this from the eating disorder that we usually associate with that word. This is a recognized physiological condition. It just describes a natural shift. And I want to be clear, this is a normal part of the aging journey for a lot of people. It's not something a caregiver has caused. Now, just stop and think about what this number actually means for a second. It's not just that food tastes a little less intense. Imagine your entire experience of flavor being cut in half. That rich, savory stew or that sweet dessert that used to bring so much joy, well, now it can just seem bland and boring. When the simple joy of taste is gone, the motivation to eat can go right along with it. And then, on top of that, we've got a major hormonal shift going on. It's kind of like the body's communication system gets rewired. So the hormone that shouts, "Hey, I'm hungry," that's called ghrelin, it starts to speak in a whisper. Meanwhile, the hormones that say, "Whoa, stop, I'm full," well, they keep shouting just as loudly and their message sticks around longer. The result? You feel full faster and you stay full longer, which just naturally squashes the urge to eat. Okay, so with all that science as our foundation, it is time to put on our compassionate detective hats. We're not looking for anyone to blame here. We are simply looking for clues. And these clues usually fall into three main categories that can help us solve the mystery for our own loved one. The first, and honestly the most critical area to investigate, is medical. Any sudden change in appetite absolutely deserves a talk with a doctor, just to rule out any underlying illness. But just as important is that medicine cabinet. Many seniors take multiple prescriptions. There's a term for it, polypharmacy, which really just means the combined effects of taking several drugs at once. A side effect as simple as a constant metallic taste can make even the most delicious food taste awful. Next up, we look for physical roadblocks. And sometimes what seems like a really small issue can have a huge impact. I mean, think about it. If your dentures don't fit right, every single bite is painful. If you're not moving your body very much, you're not going to build up a natural hunger. And get this, even mild dehydration can trick the body into thinking it's not hungry, when what it really needs is water. Any one of these things can be enough to throw off a lifetime of healthy eating habits. This third category, it's just so powerful, and it gets missed so often. For most of our lives, right, eating is a social thing. It's about connection. So what happens when that connection disappears? There's a direct link between loneliness and poor appetite. I mean, for someone who used to cook for a whole family, making a meal for just one can feel pointless. The ritual, the joy, the whole reason for the meal can just vanish when you're always sitting at the table alone. To help keep all of these clues straight, healthcare pros often use this handy little memory trick called the 9Ds. It's a really quick mental checklist that covers everything from dentition, which is just a fancy word for dental health, all the way to drugs. And there's one on here I really want to point out, dysphagia. That's the medical term for having difficulty swallowing. It can make a person feel anxious or even unsafe with every single bite. This list is a great tool to keep in your back pocket. All right, so we've done our detective work. We've explored the why. Now for the best part, the empowering part. What can we actually do about it? Let's move into our toolkit and see how this all builds into a practical, compassionate plan of action. Now, one of the first thoughts for so many caregivers is pretty logically, hey, is there a pill for this, right? If appetite is the problem, it seems like a stimulant would be the perfect fix. But
What do the experts have to say? While the expert consensus, and this is stated very clearly by the American Geriatric Society, is to avoid them. And the reason is actually pretty simple. They often come with a whole bunch of side effects, and more importantly, they don't fix the real, underlying problem. The recommendation is to focus on strategies that improve the whole experience of eating and their overall quality of life. And this is where that idea really comes to life. Our toolkit is just filled with these kinds of compassionate solutions. So if food seems bland, go bold with the flavor. Think fresh herbs, a squeeze of lemon, some garlic, maybe even a little hot sauce. If loneliness is the issue, let's make meals social again. You'd be surprised, even a simple phone call during dinner can make a huge difference. And if they're feeling a loss of control, give them simple choices. Asking, would you prefer oatmeal or eggs, is way more empowering than just being handed a plate. Okay, now check this out, because this is a really fascinating insight from an NIH study. Researchers did clinical tests on seniors' sense of taste and smell, and they found only a weak connection to their actual nutrition. But, and this is the key part, when a senior told them they couldn't taste or smell well, that was a very strong predictor of a poor diet. So what does that tell us? It means that their personal experience, their own perception, is more important than any objective test. Their reality is what truly matters. And this reveals that the single most powerful tool we have in our detective kit isn't some fancy machine or a medical chart. It's conversation. It's just asking simple, open questions and then really listening to the answer. And this brings us to our final and maybe the most important shift in our thinking. As caregivers, it's so easy to get hyper-focused on the food itself, right? The calories, the nutrients, the pressure to see an empty plate. But we need to zoom out and completely reframe our entire goal here. So here's what it all comes down to. Success is not always a clean plate. Success is a pleasant, calm mealtime that's free of pressure and arguments. It's focusing on the connection that happens across the table, not just the consumption that happens on the plate. When we approach it this way, we're not just providing food, we are nurturing their strength, their vitality, and their quality of life. So I'll leave you with this question to think about. Knowing the science, using our detective skills to look for clues, and applying this whole toolkit of compassionate solutions, how can we reframe our approach? How can we transform what can feel like a daily battle over a plate of food into a genuine moment of connection and care?